Do you believe in ghosts?
No. Never believe in what a ghost says. They're lying bastards.
I'm an atheist, but one day my 7-year told me there was a shadow man in the corner of his room. And let me tell you, I had never felt as uneasy as I felt on that day, and the second I stepped into his room I had this intense feeling of running away. I don't know how to explain it, but I do know what I felt was real, and the crazy thing is that my 7-year wasn't scared of it. I'm not someone who gets scared easily, but that day was different. I don't know if I believe in ghosts, but I do believe unexplainable things happen.
I didn't believe in them at all. Then one night I saw some crazy shit. Been trying to make excuses ever since.
If there is a steady paycheck in it, I'll believe whatever you say.
No, I usually don't believe in ghosts. But I believe in them for some time after horror movie night.
I lived in the same house my entire childhood, right around 20 years total actually. 4 dogs over differing spans of time would occasionally sit, stare, and growl at one corner of one room. That room always made me feel weird.
I remember one Christmas, my mom went to take pictures and the SIM card was full though she had emptied it the night before. I don't remember how many pictures there were, maybe like 5 in a video. Black and white of a little girl with red hair, in various areas of our home but not exactly the same. Different furniture. Never had a reason not to believe lol. I think there might have been one colored picture, but you could tell it was red in the others.
I really want all the paranormal stuff to be real, but since I'm majoring in physics, the whole believing in ghosts thing won't really work out until someone provides something other than either, I felt X, or here's a video with no information.
Yes, in fact I have several ghost stories myself, and I know a couple of my mom, sisters and cousins' stories too. I'll share my scariest personal one here, but if you want to hear all of them let me know and I'll PM you. Me, my sister and my cousin were sitting in my sister's room just talking and having a good time listening to music. After a bit though I started questioning the music because I could hear a muffled, continuous, monotone sound mixed in with it, and I started thinking I was going crazy. I asked my sister to turn off the music really quick, and when she did I could still hear the sound and they could too. We left the room looking for where it was coming from, and after wandering around for a bit we ended standing in front of the room my baby cousin was staying in. We knew it was coming from there because it was really loud and right on the other side of the door. Nobody else was home besides us at the time, so we kinda got scared and didn't want to open the door. Eventually I was talked into it because I was the only boy and it was my duty to. I went to open the door, and as soon as my hand touched the door knob the sound stopped. After a bit more hesitation I opened it, and there was a small pink battery-powered piano sitting in the middle of the room. I was terrified to even set foot in the room at this point, so we went and got a broomstick so we could press the keys without having to go all the way in. After I tried to make it make sound to no avail, we closed the door and stayed in my sister's room till my parents got home. My dad took it to her basement and left it next to the stairs. After a bit though we realized it made a sound every time you walked past it going down the stairs but never going back up. Eventually I had enough and decided I was going to take the batteries out. After I undid the tiny screw and removed the cover to the battery holder I realized there were no batteries in it. I immediately got chills down my back and felt like I was being watched. Needless to say I threw that thing away without a second though. To this day I don't think I have ever been as terrified as I was right then and there.
No. There is no scientific evidence for the existence of a soul and no logical reason to believe our consciousness exists separate from our brain, let alone continues after the death of our brain. Wishful thinking, feelings, and personal anecdotes are not evidence.
I just think fear demons. Yes. Bustin' makes me feel good.
Yep, I do. I live and work in a very old historical city and work in a particularly active area that was once a nunnery. I had experienced things such as leaving furniture a certain way and coming back to it all moved, and black figures in my peripheral every now and again, and still sometimes do. Then one night I was attacked by whatever it was. I was sat at my desk and my neck started to burn and feel painful. I took a snapshot of my neck as it was in a place I couldn't see. I often get painful rashes from the cleaning equipment at work and thought that's all it was. It ended up being 3 long scratches down the back my neck. I am a chronic lifelong nail biter, so could never have done it with my stumps of fingernails.
Yes, and here's why. Okay, so, I was 7 when this happened and I am still scared of sleeping in this room alone to this day. I couldn't sleep as I felt freezing. This was on the hottest day of the year at the time, so I was already like, that's a bit weird. I opened my eyes because I wanted to get a drink from the cup at the side of my bed when I saw something move. So naturally I looked for what moved and saw a shadow with human features. At this point I was panicking because this MF looked like a whole ass dude. He or whatever the hell it was just stood there, with a grin on its face watching me. I pretended not to see it, and laid back down keeping a close eye on its movement. I looked back at its face and its grin had turned angry like, I am going to KLLU type of angry. This MF walked towards me and whispered, I know you're awake, enter IRL name here. I bolted out of my room at that point. Never saw it again because I moved out of that room a few days later. Do you believe in life after love?
It is when people are exposed to something that doesn't not match their worldview or how they understand how the world works. I don't understand X, so it must have been ghosts, God, demons, aliens, though personally I find the concept of aliens infinity more plausible than the others. I also firmly believe that people can manifest these concepts. Not physically. Like no one is willing a ghost into existence. But if you believe something exists and you go somewhere expecting to find it, you will allow yourself to find evidence that it exists. As an example, a paranormal investigator ghost hunter could be in an old house. The roof creaks, it's a ghost in the attic, and absolutely not the change in temperature of a roof heated by the sun all day now cooling down as the sun has set. There are absolutely things that happen that I don't understand why they happened. My initial response is usually, that's interesting. I wonder how that worked. Not a ghost did it.
Nope, no evidence but lots of heebie-jeebies. I think humans are just prone to getting the heebie-jeebies.
I really don't believe in them much. Reason being that I really can't understand the logic of ghosts. They aren't able to touch things, right? So how do they throw things and turn off lights? Ghosts can go through walls and objects and touch those objects? Ghosts have many things that just sorta don't actually make sense. But if you do, I don't really mind. Just don't make me put Ghostbusters gear on. Yes, I believe in ghosts because I'm a ghost.
I don't believe in the stereotypical ghosts, like actual human-looking entities just floating in your doorway. I do believe in spiritual energy though, like spirits creating enough energy to flicker lights, move objects, make your skin feel cold, etc.
That's gonna be a hard no for me.
I've never experienced anything personally, but something did happen to a couple of my family members that I can't explain, and I've been trying to rationalize it for years. Growing up, my mom seemed to be able to tap into the other side, and she would claim that people who had passed on would talk to her or physically appear in front of her. The house I grew up in as a kid used to belong to an old couple before we moved in, but the old man died and his wife moved somewhere else. My mother would tell us about how she could hear him walking up and down the hallway, and that he seemed upset and would tell her that we're not supposed to be there. This was going on for a while, until one night the old man tells her he's okay with us and he's happy now. We found out later on that his wife had passed away that night, and he seemed to never haunt my mom again. That's not the crazy part though. I never truly believed all this myself, but I don't think my mom was lying. What shook me up was what my half-brother told me years down the road. He lived about 2 hours away from us with his mom and stepdad, and didn't come down to visit very often. When he did come down, we would just hang out in my room and play video games or whatnot. Fast forward years later, we're both adults and I came up for the weekend to visit him and other family. It's getting pretty late and somehow we get onto the topic of ghosts. He tells me about a time when he stayed the night at my house when we were kids, and everyone was asleep except for him. He heard shuffling up and down the hallway. The door from my bedroom to the hallway was cracked, and when he looked through it, he saw an old man. I started to freak out when he told me this, because I knew my mom didn't tell anybody else about her experiences except for myself and my dad. When I told my brother about the things my mom had seen, he started to freak out also. He said, I almost wish you didn't tell me that, I didn't want to believe what I saw was real. After that moment, I don't know what to think. I've been trying to rationalize it for the last 3 years and I still have no idea. Maybe there's just stuff out there that our brains just can't comprehend, but some people can maybe tap into it? I have no idea. Yeah, aren't certain southern states filled with them?
I have never seen one in my life, but I think they do exist because it's no like they are a myth or legends but are on a day-to-day basis of comments. I want to say no, but I've seen some shit.
Yes, especially the ones called haints.
I saw some on Route 64, near the Popish School in Central Florida. I get the goosebumps just thinking about it. I do, cannot say I've seen one, but there's always certain places I go to. Always the same spots that I always feel like something is watching me. Serious. Not ghosts, just a higher power.
Yes. I don't know what they are, but I think something like that is real.
Part of me wants to believe, yet the other part hasn't seen any evidence to quell my skeptic side.
As someone who tries to trust science above all else, I have to say no, but it's hard with some personal experiences. Of course not. Don't be silly.
Is there any point in not believing or believing in ghosts? After all, there is no evidence of their existence, and their non-existence, so you can hope that there is life after death. I don't. I've spent time thinking about this, and my conclusion is they can't do anything to me physically, so why be afraid? No, but I am afraid of them. I am not superstitious, but I am a little studious. I want to but never have experienced anything.
Always have, always will.
I've seen a ghost and have had several encounters, but I refuse to believe in them. More likely it was face pareidolia. Though some things I just can't explain.